Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And we've been going live on weekday afternoons talking about what families need to know so that they can keep their kids learning in spite of the pandemic and all the challenges we've been facing. And it feels like things are on the upswing now. And I know for myself, I've been trying to plan ahead for a great summer and for a really strong school year next year. And in the interest of that, we wanted to share about the two of the CAS schools campuses. And actually, they're both having their second enrollment window through April 16th, I believe. Is that right? Okay, good.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so that's why. And then there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to our blog post. That's an enrollment guide about all the schools in the CAS schools network. But today I'm so lucky to have as our guests. We have two principals from CAS schools campuses. So we have Dr. Melissa Alcala, who's the principal at CAS Tech High School, and she'll talk to you more about like what pathways they feature at that school, what their specializations are, but it's located in downtown San Antonio, kind of in the tech district. And then we also have Dr. Eddie Rodriguez, who is the principal of CAS Med High School, and he'll explain what pathways they specialize in. And it's located on the south side of San Antonio at what used to be known as Brooks City Base, which actually was the center of aerospace medicine for many years, and now it's being redeveloped by industry. So thank you so much, Dr. Alcala, and thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. I'm really excited to talk about these two CAS schools in particular.
Wonderful. Being here this afternoon, and I'm so impressed with your callers that are on at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon.
I'm really grateful. I'm blown away. This has grown. Let's see, it was 2012 when I started San Antonio Charter Moms, and at first I kind of felt like I was talking to myself, and then I realized over time there were a lot of other families having the same challenges I was, and figuring out which school was the best fit, because there's just a lot of types of schools out there. And every day I'm grateful to the Charter Moms community, including the dads and granddads and guardians, and just how engaged they are. And I feel like collectively we can make education better in San Antonio. So thank you. Okay, so I have questions I want to ask each of you about your campuses. Dr. Alcala, I wanted to ask you if you could mention like the sort of the overall goal of the CAS network. I'm going to pop this up here. So Centers for Applied Science and Technology. Have you take that question, and then specifically about CAS Tech, like what focus that campus has and how that fits in with the CAS network.
Absolutely. So the CAS network of schools was developed to really address the future needs of San Antonio. And it's part of the educational philanthropy work of the Charles Butt Foundation. And it's one of his ways he wanted to give back to San Antonio since they've been so good to him and his family. So he's actually done research with his team there at the CAS network of what are the future employee gaps here in San Antonio, and how can that thoughtfully be addressed in in school education while school students are still in school and before they graduate. That way they are more informed when they go on to college or career. And let's make it really industry relevant, because that's something that sometimes is missing in comprehensive schools. And then also something that can actually lead to some student interest with that industry, real world relevance, but also lead to a future where a student can get a degree and get hired. Because sometimes that can be a trend going on actually nationally right now in some of the colleges and so on. So we want places where students really have a place to be hired, whatever that major or skill is that they're interested in. And then as for specifically for CAS Tech, just like the name exudes, we know technology is here to stay. In fact, I think we've all gotten good at webinars, Zoom calls, and all these things during this pandemic. I think we've all developed some tech skills, and if we had fear of it, I think we're over it by now a little bit. But here at CAS Tech, it's all about business and technology, and really creating what I'll call a business technologist, because every facet of what students are going to do one day when they graduate is they're going to have a career that's a business, because even education is a business now, because there's so many options, which I think is great. And I always tell parents, so parents on the call, the best school is the one that's the best fit for your child. And that may be different for each child in your family. So I'm so proud of y'all for taking the time just to learn about all the options so you can be informed to figure out where your niche is for your particular child or children. But our focus is anything to do with IT, cybersecurity, software engineering, coding, and then business, understanding the big picture of how business works, which is marketing, accounting, and so forth, and getting that holistic view and a more richer experience with that. And then in addition to that, something that came out of the program that wasn't intended, but very much in line, and it goes with being real world relevant, is our user experience program, UX UI. So what's happening right now is that is so new that UT Austin is still creating their UX bachelor's degree. Right now there's only master's degree for the most part across the country in UX, and now they're developing the bachelor's program. And so we're ahead of that. So we're excited. We're getting our students ready to go that direction that really want to focus on the user experience. And I know that's a new word. So the short version is it's the whole experience you get when you enter a business, or like even the feeling you get when you enter a school. That has to do with your experience, whether you're the student, the parent, or the customer in that business. So it's everything encompassed with that. And I'll stop there.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. That gives a great snapshot of what Cass Tech does. I guess I want to comment. If people may be wondering, our name is San Antonio Charter Moms, so we really cover the whole range of school options. We've even had private schools, and I know that Cass Tech and Cass Med in particular are actually partnerships between Cass Schools, which is a nonprofit, and San Antonio ISD. So they're sort of in this space of where they're sort of private, or they're sort of public schools, but they're also kind of specialized, and it's a special partnership. So anyway, I just want to ask or explain that for anyone who's kind of wondering, like, well, is it a public school? Is it a charter school? It's sort of a little of both. But like you said, the most important thing is that a family is getting what they need for their student, and that like you said, it serves a greater purpose of serving the needs of industries in San Antonio, and it's picking these topic areas that's going to spark student interest. So I guess on the note of student interest, I'm going to ask a similar question to Dr. Rodriguez. So if there are students who think they might want to be a doctor someday or work in the health field, then Cass Med is the school that they might be interested in. So can you talk more about the pathways at Cass Med, and kind of how Cass Med kind of fits into the Cass Schools network?
Absolutely. So we are part of the Cass Schools network, and as Dr. Alcala mentioned, that thanks to the Charles Butt Foundation, HEB, and their foresight to get our students ready for those positions, those careers that will be required in 10 years from now. By the year 2030, it's predicted that the city of San Antonio will have 1 million more residents, and therefore we will need more software engineers, more people in cybersecurity. We will need more doctors, nurses, pharmacists, anything having to do in the medical field by that year. And if we get started now, then we will hopefully have what we will be needing then. So here at Cass Med, as you mentioned, we are located out at Brooks in the southeast side of the city of San Antonio. We do take students from all over Bexar County, just the way Dr. Alcala's school also does, because we are the charter program, charter public school. And one of the beauties of being this charter public school relationship that we have is that being a charter program, we have a little bit more autonomy with some of the things that we want to do, such as perhaps our schedule, such as some of the events that we want to go ahead and hold. We're able to do some of those things that perhaps are a little more restrictive to a regular public school. So we love the idea of being part of the charter program. So we are what we call an in-district charter school. And of course, our main thing is the Cass network of schools, who also kind of guides us in the things that we need. Now, the Cass Med program offers opportunities for students who are interested in a medical career. We offer 3 pathways. One of them is a biomedical research pathway for students that would like to study that. We also offer one that we call the medical pathway for students that want to become doctor, nurse, pharmacist, dentist, anesthesiologist, even a veterinarian, anything having to do strongly in mathematics and science. And then the third pathway is anything in public health. Those are the 3 pathways that students take. And they select their pathway when they become at the end of their sophomore year, and so that we can go ahead and put them into those classes that would help them. We are partnered with colleges and universities in order to provide our students college credit or the dual credit program. We do have as our partner, which is a partner here at SAISD, the Alamo colleges. Our students do take some classes through San Antonio College, and we just formed a great partnership through Texas A&M San Antonio. And that is wonderful because some of our students will be traveling to Texas A&M San Antonio, taking classes there and coming back. And we love the idea because of the fact that there's this research that talks about the power of place, being in a particular location, especially a university or college. And because it is a four-year university, therefore the idea of transferability of college courses will be much easier because of that. So in a nutshell, that's really what we are. But one of the differences between other schools that offer programs in dual language is we are a dual language school. We offer some of our courses to some of our students in Spanish, such as Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, and Chemistry for students, because the Charles Butt Foundation has this philosophy that if you are going to be anything in a medical professional here in the city of San Antonio, South Texas, you should be able to communicate, read, write, and speak in Spanish, because a lot does get lost in translation when you're speaking to a patient, whether you're a pharmacist or a dentist or a nurse. So all of our students take 4 years of Spanish, and those students that desire will be taking their classes completely in Spanish as well. And that is something that we're able to do because, again, we are an in-district charter school. Through that, we form partnerships with the university in Puebla, Mexico, Universidad de las Américas in Puebla, which is considered to be the third top university, so that our students can actually travel to Puebla for a week, take classes, be exposed to Spanish, and then return. And we were doing that this summer, but due to COVID, all of that has been changed. And then we've also just formed a partnership with Tec de Monterrey, which is the MIT of Mexico, so that our students could also participate in robotics competitions with people from Tec de Monterrey. And again, we're just trying to enhance the experiences of the dual language program as well. Okay.
Yeah, that's wow. That's like so much. Like I mean, it's really amazing. I think this is really it. So like last night I was at the a town hall, and Superintendent Pedro Martinez spoke, and when I think about how far SAIC has come, since, I mean, it was about 10 years ago I lived in the district and felt uncertain about is this the right place for my kids, and now we're really taking another look at it, and it's because of this transformation that the district has gone through. And I think a big part of that is finding great school leaders like you two and giving you the freedom and the tools you need to envision and build these amazing options. And there's just like so much happening, and like even like Dr. Alcala didn't even mention like the mentorship programs and stuff and the internships and stuff. And we'll, we can get to that, but there's so much to tell. Like, I know we usually try to keep these interviews to about half hour. We may have to go a little longer today. There's just a lot to talk about. So I want to send my next question to Dr. Alcala and ask if you could share some like stories about like some specific examples of experiences of students or teachers, and that demonstrate like how Cass Tech is helping students to reach their goals.
So I do want to speak to one of the unique positions at all the Cass schools, and that's our partnerships coordinator. So that is the person that works as the liaison between industry and the teachers. And it is such a gift to have this position that is unique, I believe, only to Cass schools. I'm not aware of any other schools that have it, because even as the principal, I have people reach out to me, but having the time to follow up and nurture that is difficult, and I'm limited in my response time. So now that every school has a full-time person, that's their role, that's how I think some of the magic happens here at Cass Tech, and that's some of the cool stories that become great experiences, not just for our students, but even for our volunteers and the industry professionals that come into our schools. I think they leave feeling positive about the future, because you hear so much negative on the news sometimes. And right now, of course, this year we've had to adjust to virtual mentoring. So I want to speak specifically to the mentoring internship type stories, like a story that's happened. So the other, I think, piece, though, to set the stage is we're just a very unique, diverse campus. So we've got students coming from private school experiences. We have students that are coming to us from Keystone, St. Mary's Hall, from Catholic private schools, from charter schools like Great Hearts, Jubilee, and then we have all the public schools, and they're coming from all over the city and outside of the city. Bandera, New Braunfels people are driving in, and just everything in between. And it's really that way. I think all of our CAS schools are diverse like that. That's something with all the populations. So it's just this beautiful mix of children coming to the school together and becoming a school family. But one example of well, I could give a couple. One example I'm thinking of is one of our students that lives over on the east side of town. The computer science teacher came to me after 3 months, when we opened 4 years ago. He came to me within 3 months, by October, and said, Melissa, I think I've got the brightest student I've ever had in my history of teaching. And this teacher actually worked for a magnet school in another school district that was just for computer science. So he's already dealt with students that just specialize in that, and that's their interest, and they come and they're actually even selected, or however that worked over there. And we're open enrollment. So this is a student that just saw it, thought, oh, this would be cool. So he's come, he's here at Cass Tech. He's a senior this year. And so that student, after working with that student and some of the other students that came, and the teacher talked with industry. So it's a two-part story about how this school evolves and it's responsive to industry. At the time, the teacher wanted to really make sure he's setting this student up for success because he's just so bright and he's been self-taught a lot of information with no guidance from a teacher. And so after speaking with industry, the teacher realized, he knew, but he realized how important it was for us to get a Linux lab. I'm going to get into the weeds with computer science, but for those that know about that, that's what all the big companies here in town use.
Right. My husband works in cybersecurity, so I think I will trade the jargon.
Okay. Yeah. You got it. So so we got that set up here, and as a result, that's why we're working on the Red Hat certification, which is industry level. It's important. We send our teachers actually to the professional development now that industry would go to. So we're paying this money for teachers to go to a Red Hat conference to really know what's going on out there and get that real professional development and bring it back to the classroom. Because usually teachers don't get all that because it's so expensive and it's unique, and that's not typical. But those are the kinds of unique things we can do to bring it back into the classroom for kids. So what I'm excited about is this student is slated to take that test here at the end of the month, and it looks like he's going to pass. And having that certification really starts students in a great place. And it's not something that would have happened had it not been this student finding out about the school, however that happened, which was just by chance. He said he saw a commercial on TV. And so it's just kind of interesting. But the other one, I think, is the power of the mentoring program. So something we start for our students starting second semester of their freshman year is they can have an adult mentor, and it's more about professional mentoring and so forth. Counselors take care of, the other social emotional. This is more about the adult mentoring, but it also leads into social emotional. And I tell our parents, it really takes a village to raise a child. And what's nice is these industry mentors are basically affirming everything you'd want your children to do about good grades, work hard, character, and all of those things. But they're talking about their work-life experience. So the students are being exposed to the different careers out here in San Antonio, and they know what they might want to do one day. So recently we had a student just get an internship. This student doesn't have mentoring at home and so forth. And so he was out there and he's learning how to meet deadlines. And he actually got put on probation after the first month because he doesn't have the kind of modeling. And so what's nice, though, is this industry partner reached out to our partnership coordinator to give them the heads up, like, hey, can you check on this student? Something that's going on, has the potential, but not doing well. And so he was able to find out what was going on. And the student was late because he needed a ride to work. There was a whole issue about even just getting to the internship and so forth. So being nimble enough to be able to be responsive so we can help correct those things, but also teaching students how to self-advocate. So even our students that maybe come from more affluent families, sometimes those are our most compliant children, and they're very polite, and that's wonderful. But also it's about Okay, but how can you speak up and self-advocate that when you really need something and learn how to do that? So what I love about the mentoring program is the students are learning how to do that. They're getting to practice that in these internships, but also in the more casual mentoring. And what's nice is some of these mentors have now been with these students all 4 years. And then they've asked us, well, can we still mentor them after they graduate from high school and mentor them through college? And we're like, yeah, you don't need our permission though. They've graduated. Like that's between you and the student. Like y'all can go do what you want, and so forth. But it's exciting to see that it's like almost a third family member coming on board with the family, and supporting the child along the way in their journey of life and wanting to continue to be a part of it and make a difference. So it's just nice to see that and how the students are growing.
Yeah. Well, that's so like I have a 13-year-old and I'm thinking about these things for my own kid. Like I can there's things I can teach him, but there's things I really want him to learn from outside influences. And even things like like why it's important to like like check your email, reply to your email, be polite when you reply to your email, and just how like those little things matter. And it's like I would want people looking after them and being that positive influence. And it's like I know about my field of work, but there's lots of other things I don't know about, and I'd rather have him learn about it from the people who are experts in that and doing it in the real world. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask the same kind of question, but to Dr. Rodriguez this time, and to share stories about at CastMed, examples of teachers, mentors, students, that demonstrates like this, the unique ways that CastMed is helping students.
Absolutely. And going back to, again, we are a CAST network of schools. So each of the schools actually has a partnership coordinator. And our partnership coordinator actually helps to find guest speakers. Here at CastMed, we have a guest speaker every Friday. And the guest speaker could be anyone in the medical field, from a records keeper, an insurance adjuster for medical records, to a doctor, a nurse, dentist. We bring them in all the time to talk to our kids. And it's interesting because every Friday, every time they hear someone speak, students say, oh, I want to be that person. And next Friday, oh, I want to be that person. So every week they have a new career, right? They have a new image of what they want to become, which is good because when they're freshmen and you ask them, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. A podiatrist? Oh, what's that? Okay, well, let's bring the podiatrist so they can learn about these people. But it's interesting how kids don't only know what they only know. So therefore, bringing in someone from the field is amazing to the kids. Our partnership coordinator has actually has provided us mentors from the School of Osteopathic Medicine, which is across the street here at Brooks. It's from the University of Incarnate Word. Their second-year medical students are mentoring each student that we have here in our program. And they come twice a year to talk to the kids in person. Now they're doing it virtually, but last year they did it in person. And what they do is they tell the students what it's like to be a medical student. Everything from you will cry when you study and you flunk a test to you will get in debt because it's very expensive. The whole truth. They tell them everything. They don't sugarcoat anything. Plus, they give them all the ideas and strategies to be successful and to get to where they're at. Now that you're in high school, you should be doing this, do this, do this, do this, which is wonderful. And our kids just absolutely love that. So again, having these mentors come in, and as you mentioned, telling them from, hearing it from the person who's involved and doing that career is crucial to forming our students. And we're excited about that for our kids.
Yeah, that's great. The guest speakers, that like we give such breadth of, experiences. And it's okay if they change their minds as long as they keep getting exposed to different ideas, and then they have a whole range of things to choose from when it's time to like actually, like apply to a college or try to pick an internship, right? They have a much richer world to choose from.
We're also reading a book, and we just started reading it here at the CAST Network. It's called The Power of Student Agency, and it's a book that will help us to help create what Dr. Alcala mentioned, building that student agency so that the student can actually advocate for himself or herself and be successful. Because there will come a time where we don't build this. As students go to college, they will not go knock on that college professor's door to ask for help. They'll just, not do what they could do to help themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Next question is going to be for Dr. Alcala, and kind of asking like, sort of during the pandemic year, what things have you had to adapt to? I think you mentioned like that some of the mentorship and some of the internships have gone virtual.
Yeah, so I think part of it for our faculty and even myself, we had to just adapt to, we had to just accept we weren't going to see our students on campus for a while. And I'm going back to the fall. It was almost a grieving process. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but we get into the business because we like working with children. And that's what actually feeds my soul. Like, that's why I do this work. And I know the same is true for Dr. Rodriguez. So when you can't see the children face to face, and even, so as the leader, I had to figure out ways where I could interact with students, but not add to their plate, because they're in class. But I couldn't have a pulse of how they're doing except by talking to the teachers, because they're not in the hallways and so forth. And it's the children that bring the school to life. So I know that may sound hokey, but I just feel that way. And I know all our leaders do, so I'll take it for the team and be the hokey one. So there was just that adjustment on the human side for the faculty and so forth. And we had to let that go. And then, like, okay, let's control what we can and create that experience online. So what we did is we focused more on the social emotional piece, because we knew students were out there, and we were trying to be very thoughtful about our instruction. And we really scaled it back, to be honest, because we didn't want students on the computer 8 hours a day, and then they have all this homework at night because they're already on the computer enough. So we really had to scale back our curriculum, like what are the big rocks, and then come up with some norms about what's acceptable for the amount of time to keep students in a live lesson that's in a virtual setting on a computer, and then have follow-up meaningful interaction in small groups with students, and doing it online. And that's not easy when it's freshmen that don't know each other. So they're going to be quiet. They're not going to want to turn their camera on and things like that. So then how can we create that and make it happen? So those are some of the adjustments. And I'll tell you, one of the things that actually we intended to do twice, and we got rained out both times we were supposed to do it. So it wasn't, I guess it wasn't meant to be, is we actually were going to do pop-up tents. Like, we're bringing Castech to you into our community parks just with a canopy. So we have an orange canopy, you get from Academy, plastic tables, because we have Wi-Fi, we have hotspot routers. We're like, what if we go to nearby parks next to the big high school areas in town, but a public park, and just have the students come up from their neighborhood where they could even walk to us, because parents might be at work, but others could drive their student. And we could just work with a small group of 10 and really just interact and see each other, because we were hearing from parents, even their children becoming a little more reclusive, and some already maybe had that tendency. And so then it was becoming even and more so, and so on. So anyway, those were some of the things that we really wanted to work on and do. And then the other thing that we offered is, I have a lot of gamers here, lots of gamers. And so then it's about hosting an e-gaming tournament. And so we can always do that. That's online. Students like that stuff. And somehow they communicate on their Discord. And I'm not a gamer with all that stuff on the side. And they talk to each other. And this is what makes them happy. But at least it's the CAST community together doing that chooses to do it, to help kind of build that bridge and that bond as well. So that's just a little bit about the student piece and how we were trying to adjust. And then the other piece was for parents, because I felt like a lot of, and I know we all did as leaders in CAST Network, we were thinking about, how does it feel to be a parent with your child in the pandemic, and maybe they need help, and maybe you're at work all day, or you're working from home as well. And now parents are having to figure out lunch plans. In addition, they're trying to work, and they didn't have to do that before because lunch was taken care of. So they're creating their workspace, but they've got children at work. And so that can make for a stressful home environment. So we were really trying to be thoughtful about that. So I think I was having parent meetings like once every 3 weeks for those that wanted to opt in and just talk about tips. And I said, we're going to keep this to 30 minutes. We're not going to solve it, but let's just talk about what's working, what's not, and getting that feedback and voice from parents, like what's going on at home. Because I know there's stuff probably they're not willing to share, but just by the tidbits that people were sharing, I could get the pulse of how things are going so we could figure out how to adjust. And I think that was just really important. It was just doing it differently through Zoom and getting families used to that. So that's just a little clip of one adjustment.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'm hearing for you is that it wasn't so much, I guess, like the academics continued, but looking like acknowledging the grief, finding ways to take the pulse of the students and of the families, and giving people tools to support the social emotional well-being, whether it's through gaming or just acknowledging how difficult the situation is. I think that's the right way forward, because just trying to like push harder or trying to meet the same goals that you had during a non-pandemic year, it's just going to make everyone feel kind of frustrated and alienated, and that's no good. So yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
And I want to add to that the CAS network of schools, I know that my school, and I think I can also speak for Dr. Alcala's school, we were the first schools in the city that actually started COVID testing. We started testing our kids directly after Thanksgiving. And here at CASMed, thankfully, ever since then, and we continue to test all the way up until the end of the school year, we've never had an incidence of positiveness. There have been kids who have remained at home the entire year, and those have turned out positive. And when we find out that they're not Zooming in or communicating with their teachers, immediately we make contact with the parent just to find out, okay, how can we help you? What can we provide? What services? Who do we need to send? Do you need medical attention? We send them addresses and all of this kind of stuff. And again, with my school, thanks to the Charles Butt Foundation, we do take like a care package to the house, sanitizing equipment and, paper plates, trash bags, anything they need to help them get over whatever or whomever happens to be ill. So the safety of our kids and their families is priority. And I don't see that in the large comprehensive high schools as much, because again, they're very, very big. Our school being quite small helps us with that, as well as Dr. Alcala's. As a matter of fact, prior to the pandemic, we had a dance here for our kids, and we invited Dr. Alcala's kids because my population consists of a lot of females, and her population consists of a lot of boys. So we said, hey, let's hook them up, right? And we did have a few kids come over to our dance, but then here comes a pandemic and we weren't able to repeat that. But we're willing to go at it again so that we can have some fun.
That's a great idea. That's a great goal. Yeah, I've been following in the news about community labs and the widespread testing, and I think that should make all families feel a lot safer, and encourage families to have their kids back on campus so they can experience a more complete learning experience that way. And I know that SAISD has made an effort to vaccinate all the teachers who want to be vaccinated. And I heard Dr. Martinez mention last night that they're going to coordinate vaccinations for the 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are old enough to qualify for one of the approved vaccines. So, I mean, all these steps, make everyone safer and, bring us closer to, a more functional learning environment where everyone, feels comfortable and can, work face to face and still feel safe about it. So I wanted, Dr. Rodriguez, was there anything else you wanted to add about the sort of the COVID response, or any kind of closing thoughts, or should we talk more about how kids can get how families can get their kids enrolled?
Well, we can talk about how they can get enrolled. They can go to our school websites or the SAISD website, just saisd.net or saisdchoice.com. And when they go there, they can actually start to learn more about the different choices that the school district offers. And on both of our schools are listed there. The website that you currently see is the one for my campus, so that you can learn about our school. Most of the information is on the left panel of the screen when you go to our school website. And a lot of information is also found in our school calendar. So go to our school website calendar so you can find that more information. Every Wednesday, we are having here at our school at CASMed, every Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we have a virtual information session for parents that can't come all the way out here. We explain everything about our campus. For those that want to wait another hour at 5:30, we actually open our school for an in-person tour so that families can come see the building and also pick up some school swag. And we give the same presentation again. So it's two presentations. One is virtual, begins at 4. The other one starts at 5:30 every Wednesday until the last Wednesday in May. So we hope some of you can join us so that you can get more information regarding our campus. And also, if you have any questions regarding how do you apply, we also answer those questions in our virtual presentation as well as in our in-person presentation too. Okay.
One thing that Dr. Rodriguez and I were talking about before we went on the air was about when it comes to high school, it's important to get the students involved in the decision. That it's not just it does no good for a parent to say, oh yes, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to go to the school. And then if the kid is like, no, I like video games, it's like, oh, you should have gone to Dr. Alcala's school.
We want the child to make the decision, because we've had experiences where parents call us and they even say, I'm having a difficult time getting my child to school, and my child doesn't want to do the homework. And they start telling us about the horror stories that are taking place at home that we don't hear. And high school should be the most enjoyable experience ever. And we want to make sure that that happens for every kid. So we want to make sure that the kids are happy in the decision that they make, not the parents make. So please talk to your child, make sure it's a conversation that they're having with you as well, and lay everything out on the table, letting them know, if it's going to include getting up earlier because the school is further away, that has to be in the conversation too. Or there's tutoring. My campus has tutoring Monday through Thursday. Any student with a grade of 80 or less must come to tutoring, because we want to try and help maintain that grade point average. So all of those things have to be taken into account so that they know exactly what it is that they're going to be getting into. We do provide transportation to both our schools, because I know there may be some of you who do not live within SAISD. We provide transportation from the nearest high school in the San Antonio Independent School District. And if you go to my school website, the CASMED website, where it says more information, we do have a link there where you can see more or less this year's schedule for busing. I currently have 2 students that come all the way from Stone Oak. They cross the entire city to get here. But what they do is the parents drop them off at Jefferson High School, and then from Jefferson High School, the bus brings them here. And in the afternoon, it's the reverse. The kids go to Jefferson, and the parents pick them up at Jefferson High School. And I'm sure that Dr. Alcala has some students that do the same thing that come to her school. So if you live in the Lackland area, there's a VIA bus that comes straight shot nonstop to our school. It's right across the street from where we're at, to help you do that too. And of course, because they're students, the fee is a lot less for them to ride the bus too. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing I've learned from interacting with parents, like in the Charter Moms discussion group, is that parents are problem solvers, and they will, they'll call in, grandparents or, friends and neighbors. Parents will form carpool groups, but it's wonderful that SAISD has a commitment to provide transportation, and it helps increase the access to schools that have specialized programs. So I salute SAISD and the supporters of the industry charter programs for doing that. Well, I want to ask Dr. Alcala the same question, which is, how, if families are excited about what they're hearing about Cass Tech, what should they do to get more information and get their students enrolled?
So what I would encourage parents to do, I believe in come and see. The come and see model. So come to the school. I actually encourage parents, because things have gotten better with COVID, we're actually allowing live tours to take place again here within the campus. We just keep it small, like 4 at a time. And we actually take you into the classroom so you can see the students, the teachers. And I know we had a group last night after hours, and that was great, but I think there's still power in coming during the school day and seeing what's going on, even with COVID, like what does that look like and so on. So we encourage that. Our next tour, I believe, is April the 20th at noon. It's on our webpage, though. You can just Google Cass Tech. But really, just call us. We're pretty responsive here. We have a family engagement specialist that just schedules even one-on-one appointments as needed. It's not a problem. That's part of, I think the beauty of our schools is, I think we all work to be a school family, because we know that your children spend more waking hours at school than they do at home during the week. And that's important for you to know, that you can feel good about where you're sending your children and the influence they're having from peers and the adults in the building. So I think it's important that they come during the school day. And they do let me know when you're here. I do think it's important that parents feel like they can know their principal and talk to their principal and have a conversation and not be scared or feel like they're bothering him or her. And I know Dr. Rodriguez and all the other Cass principals are very responsive and know their families. So I just feel like we're just another option for you to check out. There are so many schools that are out there. And I think it's like what Dr. Rodriguez said, it's about what is your child interested in? And as a parent, what is non-negotiable to you about your child's education? And then just taking the time to do a little bit of research. And then I call it the networking. Like, I love that y'all have this going on, because parents learn from each other. And then you can have those side conversations with, things maybe you want to ask one-on-one, but you don't want the whole group, to hear your question for whatever reason, but it's something important. Like, I think that's wonderful. So kudos, Inga, for creating this forum, and it's grown, and now it's known across the city, and I think even beyond, right? I think it's wonderful, and I'm grateful that there's people on and that are spreading this work and taking an interest in education, because it is a game changer for all lives. So kudos to you for this work.
We've gotten a couple of comments. My friend Debbie says, says Debbie of Youth Code Jam, Youth Code Jam founder. So she says, 3 of my favorite humans. Thank you, Debbie. And then my friend Adenari. So actually, her oldest goes to Travis Early College High School. So she is an SAISD mom, although not a CAST mom. But they're very interested in political engagement, civic advocacy, and so yeah, the fact that CAST Med is a dual language school in addition to having specialized programs in medicine, and yeah, and both schools offer dual credit for students who want to start earning college credit. Like it's amazing. But yeah, I feel like I mean we've presented a lot of information. I hope that parents who are curious now about this will contact each of y'all's schools, or like the folks at the SAISD enrollment office are very helpful. Like they answer questions about applications and things like that. So yeah, SAISD is here to help. And I think with families it can be hard to research and make these decisions during the pandemic. Like we all feel kind of overloaded. But to me it's a source of optimism, because I'm thinking about like what the future holds. And it's like you all said about we may feel discouraged about what we're hearing in the news, but I think when you interact with young people and you hear about what their plans are, what their dreams are, it can really turn that around and like bring the optimism back.
Totally.
And Inga, I think one thing I want to share with parents, because I know sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not sure which school to pick. So I know intentionally, I think all of our CAST schools are offering some summer programming to kind of get your feet wet. So for those that have accepted a seat, because you can always change your mind. Like you're.
I think she froze.
Oh, she did just froze for a minute. Dr. Rodriguez, do you want to comment until
Yes,
she
we do have summer programs. Our schools will have summer programs, and we will be posting that on our school websites, so that again you can always change your mind. You can come to our school, give it a try for that summer program. If it's not something that you feel it's for you, then absolutely you can definitely change it. One thing that I do want to mention that I forgot, which again applies to all of our CAST schools, is we're not selective in any fashion, form, or anything. We do have students who are special ed, ESL, GT, regular. Any student can come and apply. And now she's back. Go ahead, Melissa. What you were talking about?
Yeah, sorry, I had an unstable connection. So the point was, like, at CAST Tech, even for our students, new students and current students, we're offering day camps June 1st through the 17th, just to explore and try things and interact with each other, but the teachers. And to me, that's just a way to kind of try it before you commit. And I have a feeling other schools are going to be doing something this summer, because now things have eased up, because really educators prefer in person. We believe in the power, we know the effectiveness of that, and we're craving it too. So I'm hoping that families will take advantage of those opportunities wherever they exist, and try that as well, to help their child feel better, and even the parent maybe feel better too, because hopefully they'll get back excited. But if they're not excited, then that can be like, okay, well, maybe we need to think about this more, because I know as a parent you want to get it right. I get it. Want to get it right the first time and not have to go, oops, we messed up, and try somewhere else, and so on. So I just encourage families to do that.
And Dr. Rodriguez was talking about the fact that the CAST schools are open enrollment. So students don't have to test in, they don't have to bring a thick transcript or recommendation letters or things like that. That it's meant to be equitable and to welcome students of all abilities, as long as they have the excitement about that subject matter, and they can prove that by showing up and just diving in. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to give each of you a chance for a little closing thought, and then we can wrap up the interview. So how about let's do Dr. Alcala and then Dr. Rodriguez. So Dr. Alcala, do you have a closing thought?
Well, I think the closing thought I hope your takeaway from CAST schools, it's motto, real dreams, real futures. So any student, our job is to make sure they leave school having a better knowledge of their interests, their talents, their gifts. Even if they come to CAST Tech or any of our CAST schools and realize, okay, that's not what I want to do, but I want to do this, I think that's them, because that guides them to career or college or both as they move on. And then with the internship and mentoring program, we're developing what we call those communication skills, soft skills, self-advocacy, student agency skills that they need to move on wherever they go. And I think that's one of the unique things to consider as you look at the different school options. And I'm hoping to see some replication of this work in some other school models, because that's we're supposed to be a learning lab. We didn't talk about that for other schools. Not perfect, but we're trying some things differently, and whatever's working, we want others to replicate it. We're not going to be knowledge hogs about it, because we want to have a ripple effect across San Antonio. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Rodriguez, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yes. So first of all, thank you all for joining us this Friday afternoon. I appreciate listening to Melissa and to you, and hopefully some of the parents that are here receive some valuable information that, if not for their kid, then maybe a nephew, a niece, or someone who is interested in coming to our schools. I just want to mention that if you're looking for a school that is small in size, where there's absolutely no discipline problems, because they just don't exist in my building, and I know they don't exist in Melissa's building either. And if you're looking for a very good education, in my particular school, everyone has a master's degree. No one has less than 5 years teaching experience. They're super qualified individuals that we have hired to work with kids. And then give us a try. Come and learn about our school. Join us on those Wednesdays when we have the sessions to come in and see our school, or with Dr. Alcala, go when she's available as well. And if you can't make it, then of course we'll modify and adjust to your schedule. Or if you need to send a grandparent or someone, and for our school, they only speak Spanish, we all speak Spanish here, where we can communicate with them, and then they can go home and they can share the information with them. It truly was a pleasure to visit with you and to share our schools. We're very passionate about what we do, and we hope to see some of you soon.
No, this is a real joy. I visited some of the school. I mean, I've been reading up on CAS schools for a while, and have been to the CAS Tech a couple times. But I've learned so much from this, and I'm really proud to have it on our site and to share it with our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.